So as you read from the title, this video is going to be about bilingualism, but it's not going to be based on facts and science. This is not scripted at all. I just want to give you my more than honest opinion and my insights because I have some expertise in this, because I am bilingual and I repeat this in all my videos. I always want to be specific about the idea that I was born and raised in a very specific context, which includes and involves bilingualism. Maybe you're a parent deciding on which language to teach your children or your child. Maybe you are a tutor, maybe you are thinking about the future, maybe you are one of those children, one of those teenagers who's confused about this. I also want to link you below some research about this topic, but I really want to be this video as personal as it gets. Why am I a bilingual? So my parents were immigrants from Poland and they decided to live and stay in Italy. As you may have understood, my native languages were Italian and Polish. Polish was the language spoken inside the house. The cutlery, the food, the utensils, anything connected to a familiar environment was in Polish, whereas any academic subject, any kind of school-related things I used in the classroom, for example, or how to talk with friends, all of that was in Italian. The most frequent fear that people have is that their child may be confused and may get confused and may swap the languages and might make a mess. We as children are so freaking smart, it's ridiculous, and our brain has this incredible ability to discern the languages, thanks also to the people who surround us and help us in this. I'm not gonna lie, when I was a child, I have this memory, this core memory of coloring some kind of traffic light, and I remember calling it in Polish. And then the teacher in kindergarten would say, no, this is not this is semaforo. So she would fix that aspect. She would try to interact with me in Italian. She would teach me the Italian word. And then at home, I'd say semaforo. And then my parents would say yes. And in Polish, that's światło ruchu drogowego. And as children, we absorb it. So even if we're confused as children, it could occur, of course, but eventually you sort it out. My best example for this is the fact that when I was a child, I would mix a lot of languages. I would say something in Italian, something in Polish, something in Italian, and then again, Polish, Italian, Polish. So once I was in my car with my grandparents and my parents, and there was a turn, basically. You know, children just speak about any kind of stuff. So if you know Polish and Italian, you know where I'm going with this story. Basically, turn in Italian is curva, but in Polish, curva is the most famous swear word that exists. You know that. Don't lie, you knew that. For some ridiculous reason, when my mom was driving, I wanted to say that was a turn. Oh, tam jest. So there is, and then I said the Italian version, curva. And all I remember is my grandparents' reaction because they didn't speak Italian. So they were quite surprised. The truth is, it is all summed up in some very funny story to tell when you're older, a laugh from your parents, from your teachers, from your grandparents. It doesn't create any blocks in your mind. Actually, it makes you so much flexible, so much more flexible. And I always mention this in my videos. A great part of my love for languages and also my ability to learn English was very likely to be linked also to my bilingualism. And this does not mean that all bilingual people will learn languages and will have it easy. I know many bilinguals who still struggle with languages. In my family, language learning is like very common. I've always taken for granted that people spoke at least 3-4 languages. For me, that was normal because my mom studied Polish, Russian, German, and then she also learned Italian. Just by traveling to Italy and living here, she acquired from everyone the language. All she had was a little book. She showed that actually to me. Rozmówka, I believe it's called. I don't remember. It's like short dialogues. And all other members of my family as well, they all speak and spoke at least 2 or 3 languages. It's like super basic. Languages have never been a problem in my family because there was a new language to learn. Okay, you learn it. That's it. I always say that people who make fun of you speaking poorly in a specific language, they probably can barely speak theirs. I've never seen people who speak more languages and understand the struggle. I've never seen them mock somebody else for this. Every time there is a person mocking language learners or accents, it's always people who can't speak 2 languages. And I'm not saying this to blame those who speak a language, because that's not about it. It's that they blame others for trying. That makes my blood boil. So that's why I'm never judgmental of people who learn, and I've never been. Whenever I was learning at school, I was always super open. If you have any doubts about your child learning a 2nd or 3rd language, they are probably going to be a bit frustrated, a bit anxious, a bit also mad at you probably. I was mad because I had to go to a gymnasium here in Italy to study Polish, but it helped me so much. In hindsight, as an adult, I will never thank my parents enough. I would have regretted it so much if I hadn't studied the languages, if I hadn't tried to learn Polish, if they hadn't forced me a little bit to use it, because I had to use it to travel to my grandparents. I know about people who were in a very similar situation. So they had Polish families, but they couldn't speak Polish. So they would travel to their hometown, to Poland, and they wouldn't be able to communicate with their grandparents. I have these vivid memories of my grandparents also teaching me how to write. My writing was horrid, of course, because I've never studied it when I was a child when it comes to Polish. If the environment is healthy, that person is going to thank you so much when they're becoming an adult. I am making a career out of it now, but to be honest, it has made me so much more independent. It has set the ground to be successful in some ways. And I'm not necessarily talking about money, but I'm talking about my brain, my beliefs. And I'm so grateful for that, because this has made my life in some aspects so much more rich. If you speak more languages, you have more souls. And I've also talked about this in my previous video, in one of my previous videos. If you want, you can click here and check it out. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next one. Ciao!